Good morning. It's Saturday, March 7. I'm Sabah Fakuri for the Heart and Home podcast. 19 crew and 2 passengers aboard the cruise ship Grand Princess, quarantined off the San Francisco coast, have tested positive for the coronavirus. The Grand Princess captain announced the people infected will remain in their rooms until they are transferred to hospitals on shore. There are 3,500 people on that ship that will be allowed to dock this weekend in a non-commercial port where everyone on board will be tested. One of America's most famous music festivals, South by Southwest, has been canceled due to coronavirus fears. It's the first time the annual event in Austin, Texas, that was supposed to begin next week, has been closed in its 34-year history. Some of the biggest exhibitors of the event, like Apple, Amazon, Twitter, and Facebook, had pulled out of the 10-day event earlier this week. Meanwhile, across the country, other concerts and sports events are also being canceled in other cities. And don't forget to advance your clocks forward 1 hour for daylight savings time, which begins tomorrow, International Women's Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how I found out about this. It's free. It's on your app store. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right now from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Please, I urge you, don't waste another minute. I wasted 3 years. I attended all kinds of events to learn all the steps. I was so confused, and it was right here. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Do it now. I dedicate both today and tomorrow's podcast to women. You often hear me talk about Oprah. Since we talked about her book club choice controversy surrounding American Dirt in yesterday's podcast, I wanted to share another woman I admire who was interviewed by Oprah during her 2020 Vision WW or Weight Watchers tour. Today, Oprah is in Denver, where her special guest is her bestie, Gayle King. She's interviewed Lady Gaga in Florida, Michelle Obama in New York, and earlier this month, she was even seen falling on stage while ironically enough, talking about balance. She's okay, and she laughed about it by saying, "Wrong shoes." The woman I want to talk about is someone I first saw on TV more than 20 years ago. I was at home in San Francisco where I was living at the time. It was a Friday night. I was exhausted from a long week at work and just stayed in. There was this woman who rocked the stage. Her concert, she danced, she sang for hours. She had the stamina of more than 10 women. It was Jennifer Lopez. You know her as Jenny from the Block, the Puerto Rican from New York who released her first album at 29. She's not only a musician and dancer, but also a talented actress and producer, a mom, and newly engaged to former New York Yankees athlete Alex Rodriguez. Yes, that Latina woman who just turned 50, who looks better than she did in her green Versace dress she wore 20 years ago. It's not that I've been a fan of her for years. Besides, one of my favorite movies, Monster-in-Law, in which she played with Jane Fonda, I just learned from the Oprah February 29 interview in Los Angeles that JLo is a Louise Hay fan. Louise Hay is another woman I have admired for decades because she began Hay House Publishing when she was in her 60s. Louise Hay has left this earth, but her books and influence are still with us.
Did you do the work? Did you actually do therapy?
I did therapy.
Pray?
I prayed a lot.
You meditated?
I learned to meditate. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of Louise Hay books. I met Louise Hay.
Good.
I was like,
good.
Louise,
Yeah, help.
I'm getting divorced. What do I do? I feel like crap. Help me.
JLo also shared that she's been doing affirmations for a long time. I want to share that every morning before I record my podcast, I too look to Louise Hay. I have her 2020 I Can Do It affirmations calendar on my desk that I read every morning and reread several times throughout each day. When I go to the mirror, I tell myself that I love you, something that I learned long ago from Louise Hay's CDs. Here's what JLo had to say. Oh, and by the way, today's calendar, Louise Hay tells us, I fulfill my creative side. I want to bloom wherever I am planted. I love that.
I heard that you tell yourself sometimes you're doing good, baby.
Yes. You got to.
Yeah.
You have to, because there's another little voice that's going, you're not doing good enough.
Yeah.
So the outside voice has to go, you're doing good.
What's your personal mantra, Jen?
I have so many affirmations that I do, and I've done affirmations for a long, long time. I feel like they really do. That the more I believe that how you think, and I teach my kids this: your thoughts create your life, and so you have to think positive thoughts all the time. You have to force yourself to think positive thoughts at times, and so I do a lot of different affirmations. I'm open and receptive to all the goodness and abundance the universe has to offer. I am in perfect health. My children are in perfect health. We are safe. We are whole. I am whole. I am good on my own. I love myself. I love you, Jennifer. I love the universe. The universe loves me. God loves me. I am youthful and timeless at every age. I am enough.
And of course, others have taught me affirmations, such as Jack Canfield, the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I haven't met Jack yet, but I did get to meet Mark Victor Hansen and his wife, Crystal. I'm learning that no matter how famous or accomplished you are, these people continue to put in the mindset work. As JLo shares, there really are no limits, she tells us. The only limits are the ones that you create in your mind. And the sky is not the limit, JLo said. The possibilities are limitless for what you can create in your life. And it just keeps getting better. She also said that for her, it's only halftime now that she's hit 50. I hope you'll listen or read the entire interview where JLo talks about her performance with Shakira and her daughter Emmy during the halftime show at this year's Super Bowl. She also shares advice on parenting, marriage, and relationships. Links to Oprah's interview with JLo are included in the show notes, courtesy of WW, or Weight Watchers. That interview left me feeling energized. But if you're in a place where you're not happy, I want to share advice someone once told me that I will never forget. It came from one of the brothers of my husband at the time. I don't remember what we were talking about. I just remember him saying that you should never be unhappy for one day of your life. That statement was so profound. I had never heard it said in such a simple and clear sentence. It was easy for my mind to grasp, to remember, to live by. It's been 15 years since my brother-in-law shared those kinds of words that I wanted to share them with you. I know there are a lot of women out there who are alone, who are struggling with no support, emotional or financial. You can rely on yourself and remember, as Louise Hay teaches us, that you have everything you need inside of you. Today, you may hear the words that people say that you are enough. That means you're good enough. But really, I enjoy saying you're great. Life has a way of causing you to doubt yourself. But what I learned, it may be that God is trying to tell you something. So listen. In the words of Wayne Dyer, when you wake up in the early morning, don't go back to sleep. I know some days you feel like you've been hit by a train and your body can't move. We've all been there. Take it slow. Imagine yourself healthy and strong. I suffer from tinnitus, and some days I am so dizzy I can barely move my head. It's an awful feeling. But I tell myself that this too shall pass, just like any other problem in your life. As I drag myself to go for my daily 1-hour walk or go to the gym, as I look at the scale that most days goes up instead of down, I tell myself I'm gaining muscle because I feel good. I look good. I don't worry about the number on the scale or the age on my next birthday. Do you know that one year I actually forgot how old I really was? I actually had to do the math. I don't think it was, a senior moment. But the most important lesson I learned is not to be so hard on myself. Yes, don't beat yourself up because you're not where you want to be. Just get the let out. Get moving toward that goal. Because without action, those goals are dreams and will never be realized. I might not get back to that size 8, but I know that's not what's really important because I still love myself. For the Heart and Home podcast, I'm Sabah Fakuri. Thank you for listening. I'll be back to talk to you tomorrow, International Women's Day.